everybody, this is the Plastic Commando coming to you from deep behind enemy lines. Today I'd like to make just a brief video on the battle pieces for the World War II French set that I received today from Historical Board Gaming. It's the French. The French. Of course, I say that because we know typically how the game goes in Axis and Allies Global on the European side. Typically round one, it's you know the direction that the French player ends up going in. But having said that, Historical Board Gaming has put out some really cool pieces, looks like, for the World War II French set. And I want to go through briefly today just to maybe compare and contrast. As you know, the out-of-box units that came with the game itself for France were essentially Russian units, and that I always thought that was cheesy, except for the infantry unit was its own sculpt. Which is pretty nice. I like the out-of-box sculpt unit for France, the infantry unit. But this is not really an unpacking video of new merchandise. I think we all know certainly what they look like. But having said that, if you're like me, when these little boxes from Historical Board Gaming come in the mail, it's like a kid at Christmas for me. So I always enjoy getting these little boxes that pop in when I order units and pieces, game markers, whatever it be from Historical Board Gaming. So it kind of brightens the day up if you're if you're into this, which I assume folks watching the video are geeked out about Axis and Allies anyway. But when these little boxes show up, it puts a smile on my face, I have to say. All right, what I'd like to do then is just kind of go through the pieces. Before we do that, though, obviously, if some are unsure what we're doing today and where to find these units, these are the battle pieces, the World War II French set, which is now available through Historical Board Gaming. You can purchase these now. It looks like for $39.95, and currently they're showing 365 in stock. And my understanding, these had been on pre-order, I believe, for some time. I never pre-ordered mine. I just waited until they came out. And I did get a nice email, though, from Doug and the guys at Historical Board Gaming, letting me know that, hey, they're in stock now. And I think according to the email, looks like, I think what the plan is, there's 88 pieces that come in the set itself, okay? And it looks like those are going to be available for, I'm trying to remember about the email, but I'm thinking they said possibly 6 weeks, something to that extent, for sale. And then, and that's just for sale as the entire unit itself, for the $39.95. Then after that, I believe they're going to break up the set and then start selling those as normal, 5 units a piece. I'm assuming for their $3.95 amount. So if you're definitely interested in purchasing one of these sets, I would say get it now before the entire set is gone. And you'll see with the list here kind of what you get. This again is from Historical Board Gaming's website. You get a lot of pieces. You get it's if you're interested in upgrading and individualizing your French units, I would say get it myself, because you get a lot of pieces. You get 16 infantry. Of course, you see there. Of course, one of the cool things are the French Foreign Legion, which obviously you didn't have out of box. But we'll kind of go through these guys right now. Then this here is the French Foreign Legion. Of course, they've got the typical look of the Foreign Legion themselves. Really cool sculpt. I like it. Of course, all the infantry units have the standard historical board gaming marker on the bottom, but these guys are really cool to have. But what I was going to say though is I would encourage you to, if you want the entire set, go ahead and get it now before they bust it up and start selling individually. Reason being, for the 88 pieces that you're going to get at this point in time, that essentially, if I'm doing the math correctly, and math was never my strong suit, but if you're doing, if you get it now, I mean, that's about 45 cents a piece for units. So that's pretty cheap. And what'll happen is, it looks like with the if you look here, there's 14 categories of units that HBG will be selling. And again, if I'm doing my math correctly, that's if they start selling them in 5 each, that's essentially at $3 and I think it's $3.45 is what they typically sell units for in packs of 5. You know, whether it be infantry or tanks or whatever else. That's going to run you about $48 and some change if you bought all 14 sets of units, which would be infantry, the Foreign Legion, and so forth. It's going to cost you about $48 just to get 5 units each of those. Whereas you see, I mean, here now you can get like 16 infantry units, and on down. I mean, you can get like 8 different, 8 total of each ship, for example. So right now is a really good time to buy it. I mean, you'll never get them this cheap if you want the entire set. Now, if you don't, obviously, you know, I would say just wait and get individual pieces that you may want to add to your French collection. But money-wise, it's a good option right now, and looks like they've got I think, what was it, 300 and some sets at this point in time. So, all right, well, real quick, let's just kind of go through these comparisons. Of course, what I've got at the top would be the out-of-box pieces. Right below is the new French units. Of course, this, as you see in the top, that's the Russian carrier. Now we've got a really good aircraft carrier. And I'm going to say, out of all the set pieces that come with this new French set from HBG, my naval units are my favorites. So this is the carrier. This is the Bern class carrier. And one cool thing about historical board gaming products, all of these new pieces, they've got the names imprinted upon the underside. Of course, you got the historical board gaming logo, but this is the Bern class carrier. It's a big and it's a wide carrier, so you'll have no problem putting your planes on the flight deck. Okay, then moving on over here, we've got the cruiser. This is the Suffren class heavy cruiser, of course, in comparison. And you can see, I mean, they all match up pretty well with the out-of-box units and sizes. So I will say that about this new set. It's the pieces themselves do match up scale really good. Of course, you can see here, this is the Suffren class. And again, that's listed as a heavy cruiser. Moving on, we've got the French submarine. I mean, this is probably my least favorite of the naval units. It's pretty well flat, but of course you can see the comparison with the out-of-box Russian submarine that came with it. This is the Redoubtable class submarine, which we have right here. It's I mean, it's flat. It's nothing sexy about this this particular unit, except that it's a submarine. And then moving on over here, we've got of course the destroyer, and you can see here, this is the La Fantasque. I know I just butchered my French, but this is a cool unit. It's got some good weight. It's it's a pretty thick piece, so feels good to the handling, and it's not super skinny, obviously, like these little submarines, and of course also the pardon the video. The out-of-box Russian destroyer was always fairly thin and a little difficult to manipulate there. Okay, and then of course here, probably my favorite piece of all the naval units is the battleship. I mean, this is you can see the comparison and the detail in comparison to the out-of-box Russian ship that came with the French units. And this is one big, in gaming, as we say, one big hunk of plastic. This is the Richelieu class battleship, and you can see it's pretty well detailed. I mean, I like this, and this is a nice piece. Again, this is probably my favorite of all the naval units, perhaps all the pieces together. I mean, it's got some good weight on it, so that piece will definitely be on my game board for sure. Then we've got the tanks. This is the Char B heavy tank, and I would say if you buy the set, maybe it was just my set that came in, be careful. I noticed when I did open my boxes up, most of the turrets were off of the base of the tank. But that's no issue. Just make sure when you open the pack up, when you pour them out, make sure the turrets are not floating around and get lost. But just a little dab of super glue in there, you're good to go. And that's I mean, this is a pretty good unit. I'm not as concerned about the French tanks. I've got quite a few GHQ tanks for France that I use. They also have the really short barrels, and so I've got well in abundance of French tanks. Again, we don't need that many units, but one thing I would say about this set, there's not a AAA gun that comes with the HB set. So you'll certainly want to continue to use the one you've got out of box. Moving on to the mech units. I mean, it's a mech unit certainly, but this was the typical French unit. I mean, for the sculpt itself, though, it's a good unit. But to me, I've never found anything exciting about these kind of mechs. I prefer like the trucks, I guess, the mechanized trucks that you may see like in Russia and Germany, of course America. But in any event, this is the mech. And then we go on down here, we've got the artillery unit in comparison to the out-of-box piece. I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on the unit itself. I'm assuming it's a little more historically accurate. I don't have anything pulled up or anything to review right now on the accuracy of the unit. I mean, it's okay. It's not near as nice as the out-of-box unit. Of course, that is the Russian cannon. This one's just really cool. I mean, it's a long piece. It's really cool to paint up. This one, I'm sure it'll be fine. To me, it's more like an old-style cannon artillery unit. It's based on, I believe, it's the 1935 artillery piece. So, but in any event, we've got another individualized piece for the game board, which is cool. Moving on here, we've got the transport ship, and this is a big hulking transport, and probably, in my estimation, probably one of the biggest transports that you'll have, no matter which country you're playing with. This is the let's flip it around here. This is the Golo transport. Of course, you can see that there. That one's actually printed on backwards, I believe. Yeah, about that. But in any event, it's the Golo transport. It's a big transport. It's wide. So I guess when you're evacuating France, getting your units across the channel to England. Maybe you can put an extra unit on this big transport. I don't know. I would say though, my one criticism of this one though is little piece here in the front. It's a little flimsy, so you'll want to try to rebend that and be careful with the piece itself when you're playing with it in the game. Okay, and then we've got the over here we've got the medium bomber that comes in the set. Of course, in comparison to the Russian bomber itself, this is a pretty cool piece. It's got some good weight to it also. One thing I do like about historical board gaming aircraft, as you guys know, they all typically either have the landing gears down, and they set really nice on the board, and in compared to like say the out-of-box pieces, in particular like the the Russian fighter, it was just all flat and it wobbles on the game board. But if any of you use flight stands, that takes care of all that. It's not an issue. But I do like these new French units for the aircraft. This here is the tactical bomber. It's the I guess it's the Breguet 690 TAC bomber. Okay, and it kind of reminds me of the British Mosquito bomber. It's a little thin. The tail end, I noticed a few of the pieces that came, they're slightly bent, so you want to have some care when you try to readjust those. You can see the thinness as we get into the tail of the plane, so just be careful of that when you're trying to readjust it. And the French fighter, I really like. This kind of reminds me of of HBG's Messerschmitt. It's got the landing gears down. It's got a good feel. It's got some good detail. You can see the the cockpit, and it just overall it's just it's a lot better plane when you're playing France again, as opposed to using the Russian plane itself. So and then I guess lastly we've got of course the French infantry unit that comes in the set. I really like this piece. This is it's a good alternative, good option, and of course you can pull these up online and take a look at them, but what you see online is more of I guess it's a digital print. So but this one's nice. It'll paint up really nice, and as opposed to the greatcoat, of course we've got the trousers, and of course it's got a backpack, and you can see some equipment on the belt backside as well. So like that piece. And again, as I stated earlier, the French Foreign Legion unit, really like that one. So that's the pieces that you're going to get in this set. Again, there's 88 total. You get a lot for your money right now. So if you're really thinking about doing it, I would encourage you to go ahead and buy the set. It's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run than trying to purchase each individually. Just real quick, and you don't get these in the actual set from HBG, obviously, but this just the different kind of markers that you've got. Of course, when you play France, this is the out-of-box marker. I've yet to purchase the nice custom roundels that you can get from Historical Board Gaming for France, but this is the out-of-box marker. Of course, now these two here. These are from Historical Board Gaming. This is the Free French marker. This is the Vichy French. These are just the cardboard pieces, and they're cheap. They're like, I think it was like maybe $2.95, something like that I paid for them. It's pretty cool. I mean we don't need a lot of them, but if you end up using rules, I guess, for Free French, Vichy French, it's pretty cool to have those. Now these I do like. These are the nice markers that you get from Historical Board Gaming, the custom roundels, and of course you got a little heavier weight. And I really love the custom markers that Historical Board Gaming puts out. It's a good feel, a lot easier to pick up. But in any event, this is the Marine marker, and I picked this up because you know, in using Marines, I want to make sure to try to keep, you know, every nation as balanced as possible, maybe with a special unit. And but you know, when I did purchase the marker some time ago, obviously I didn't really have a particular unit in mind that I could use for, you know, a French Marine. Well, now I guess thanks to historical board gaming, I do at this point. So I think what I plan to do is the old infantry unit out of box that came with the French set. It's the unique piece only. I think I'm going to start maybe designating these as my French Marines. You know, when and if when and if they're ever used, I guess, in the game. So that's a cool alternative right there. And then lastly, the one marker I've got, because I do want every country to have airborne units and have access to those. This is the 1st Marine Parachute Regiment, and so this is cool. Of course, the you know, the game piece easily to use for these are the you know, the airborne units that you can get at historical board gaming. For the Allies, it's a generic unit, but those are perfect for, you know, no matter what country you're using. Obviously, United States, United Kingdom, Russia. I mean, Anzac. You can use. They're all universal, and just paint them if you're going to paint them up, or just get the individual color you need. They all fit in really well. So, all right, guys. Just want to do a quick video of the new World War II French units that are now available through historical board gaming, and wanted to kind of give you an overview, my general impressions of the units. If I had to give a grade to the set itself, again, considering the individuality of the units, the number of the game pieces you get for $39.95 right now, you know, just the addition of a new infantry unit as well as a French Foreign Legion unit, I'll give the whole set an A. I won't give it an A plus, but I'll give it an A. Obviously, I really do like it, and I think it's a very good quality set. So that's just my general impressions, and I welcome any comments that you guys may have. If some of you all have purchased the units or thinking about it, you know, I'm curious about your impressions as well. But they'll look good on the game board. At some point, I'll get around to painting these up as well. And happy I got them. And again, they've got them at a good deal at this point in time. So, all right, guys. I hope you guys have a good day. This is the Plastic Commando. Over and out.